So as a young 14-year-old, when puberty filled my body with its hormones and things really started changing, I didn't know what to make of this school and me and everything else. And well, this place just seemed to get darker and scarier. I have to say, even 40 some years later, coming down these steps for the first time, in all that time, it's still quite a dark and intimidating place. And well, there's a whole lot to tell you. This is WTFF. What's this Fluid Foundation? Hi, I'm Tim Palmer, and welcome to Darwin High School. So back in 1980, 1981, of course, phones that you could walk with, drones that I'm talking to you now with, were barely even science fiction. And so there was really only the people you had around you, your family and your peers. And well, when I hit 14 here and all those hormones kicked in, really something changed. I didn't really know what it was, because in 1981, being different wasn't an option. You just didn't admit it, you didn't talk about it. And so between A block here and B block over there, straight through there is the library, and that's where I used to hang out. Pretty much just hide every day and just wait for the moment that this school bell would ring and I could go home. I'd jump on my bike and get the hell out. And whilst this school was a little bit overwhelming, the landscape of this place and the place and this suburb called Fanny Bay is just an absolute beauty of colour, of waves, of tropical sea breezes, and of exploration along that coastline just over the school there to East Point. And I'll tell you a little more about that as we pass my old family home. So right behind me here is where I used to get home from school each day, 42 East Point Road. And well, in 1982, there was only a repeat and a repeat and a repeat, and there was no TV, live TV. But what there was music videos. Can you believe it? Darwin had music videos on TV non-stop from midday to 5 p.m. before the news. And here at Mum's place, I'd get home, and before my brothers were there, I would just put on the music, and that was my freedom, that was my escape, that was my utopia from all things from back at school. And as all dorky kids are, and I certainly was one of them, I mean, I didn't even know what a sun-dried tomato was till I got to Sydney at 21 years of age, so go figure, right? I had some pretty weird lyrics for some pretty cool songs, and one of my favourites, of course, was always playing, and that was Nutbush, City Limits. But of course, I didn't know what the words were. I thought it was I'm Not Forsaken. But then maybe that was a little prophetic. Maybe Maybe that was me, my deep inside self trying to tell me, just trying to tell me to hang on. You don't know what's going on. I didn't know what was going on. But who knows? No. And not forsaken. Oh God. And that made me laugh. I used to dance and dance. And then there was the fantastic Queen, of course, and Freddie Mercury. And I used to wonder what on earth was so special about that guy. And well, you see, I didn't realize before hitting puberty that there was a thing about men liking men and women liking women. And then when that happened, when that came along, it was, I wasn't fitting in. But before then, it was Freddie all the way. And well, my other great favourite was ELO, All Over the World. My Uncle Bert had bought the album, and it was just a joyous heralding, and I love that one too. Absolutely loved it. And well, there's something pretty special about that that really pertains to hanging on and keeping hope, because that's what this Fluid Foundation is all about. So I would be at home dancing my socks off until my brothers got there, and of course I would just take off and get down here, just across the garden, just across the Vestes Lake to this most incredible coastline. And this is my little sanctuary again after school. And so I would walk this coastline up there, up to East Point, every afternoon, and just think about what it was to be different, not knowing at all what that difference was. And well, it was really something that meant that I was not turning out how I was supposed to turn out. I lost a lot of hope when I realized I was different, when I realized that there was nothing that I was going to be able to do that would make the people that loved me happy with who I was. The more those hormones kicked in, the more I realized that there was nothing really to live for. I was wrong, I was different, and there was no one else like me in the world. I literally was the only gay in the village. So I would get here, I would sit here, and as soon as that sun tipped over the edge, and just as it got closer and closer to the coast, to disappear behind the horizon, I started thinking about a fantasy and a dream. I'd make up this Disney fantasy, I suppose, of me and a man getting married, and that we would be happy, and that I'd know him, and that he'd live just down there, not far from where I was, and that my parents would know him and love him, and that made me smile. And I would keep thinking about this fantasy when I didn't actually even know there was another person alive who would think like me. But I kept on thinking it, and it gave me this incredible, incredible hope. And as the sun got lower and lower to the horizon, the thought of this dream that would never happen, that could come true, that could never come true. There was nothing possible in the world that in my lifetime could change the circumstance of what I thought. No other person feeling like this, like me. How on earth was I supposed to, if there was one, how on earth was I supposed to find one? But that dream kept me alive. And it kept me from sliding off this cliff, this edge down there, every day. And that is the Fluid Foundation, and being in a position to be able to give that hope and to be able to change the circumstance for someone like you or your friends or your peers. That is what this foundation's about. So let's keep the hope, and let's share the fluid, and let's build the foundation and join us to return that lost, stolen, evaporated hope back to so many young people and give them their dream, because that hope that kept me alive right here when I was 14 has allowed me to do so much and achieve so much, and I'll look forward to sharing that with you and giving you further stories about the hope, and that what my job is now to return that hope.